Talking about important sites in each member's district, our public schools are some of the most important key community spots in our districts. With the start of the public school in early August, excitement and anxiety could be felt at all schools amongst students, teachers, staff, and parents as we move to almost 100% in-person learning. Today I have with me Chair Justin Woodson of the House Education Committee to share with me some of his insights on the start of the 2021 school year. Hi Justin, how are you doing?
Hi Della, thank you for allowing me to be here with you today.
So what are some of the key highlights or key reports you're hearing about the start of the 2021 school year?
Sure, well there's quite a bit going on right now, and as you can imagine, this year has presented historic challenges because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And there's challenges with regards to physical space in the classrooms, and I appreciate the efforts that incoming interim Superintendent Keith Hayashi has brought to the table and his team. But the legislature, particularly the House, is going to have to monitor all of these situations. And so with regards to the physical spacing, we know that in classrooms, as an example, the physical footprint of the class is not sufficient to account for that 6 feet of social distancing that we need in our classrooms. And so that's presenting challenges that we're going to have to keep a track of and also to monitor. We also know that in some of our, particularly elementary schools, they have these double desks, these desks that are attached together. That's how they come, that's how they're oriented. And with that kind of orientation in the classroom, obviously you're not going to be able to maintain that 6 feet of separation. And so these are things that we have to monitor to make sure that as the year progresses, we might have to make some significant adjustments. It's too early to see, but again, the House is monitoring some of these developments. Besides that, of course, you have issues with the masks themselves. So Della, you and I know that even in a normal setting with adults, right, adults don't always wear their mask, unfortunately. So similarly, that's what's happening at the schools. Teachers are doing the best that they can to make sure that they monitor and make sure kids are wearing their masks, but it's not always the case. And so again, something that we're keeping a close eye on as we move forward with this school year. And besides masks, we have issues with vaccinations. Our office is researching, and it seems like for the state of Hawaii, our public school teachers are about at an 80% vaccination rate. That is pretty strong. Having said that, when you look at the national average, it's upwards to 90%. And so we have some ways to grow, but we are in the right place. And so because the governor has issued a directive saying that all state employees must be vaccinated. This includes teachers. And so for those teachers, for whatever reason, that do not want to get their vaccinations, they're going to be required to test weekly. I am still concerned about that because with this new D variant, the transmissibility is greater and it's infecting people at a quicker rate. So whereas before it was 7 to 10 days, now we know that it's up to as little as 2 days. And so testing.
So if I interrupt there a little bit, I mean, one of the things that we did in the special session was we overrode the governor's veto of Senate Bill 811, and that was Act 4. So what was the significance of that? Because I think it's had a great significance in providing the community with information, if you can talk about that bill.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to provide a little bit of legislative history on that proposal, SB 811 or Act 4, as it's referred to now, simply articulates that the Department of Education is required to make sure that they report COVID cases per school. And so that's an important tool for families to have, because as these caseloads increase, we want to make sure that we provide families with the tools necessary to provide protection for their kids. And so the governor has the authority to veto proposals. And this year, the governor, he had the authority, and I respect that authority. He vetoed quite a bit of bills. This, again, was one of the bills. The legislature respectfully did not concur with that decision. And so we went ahead and overrode his veto. And just to put some perspective, it's no small feat to override a veto. It takes a supermajority of votes in both chambers, the House and the Senate. We were able to do that, and we had quite a bit of margin on this particular proposal because it was very important. And so what we were saying is we want families to have this extra tool to their disposal so they can make sure that they're protecting their families. And if you go to the Department of Education's website now, you look at the top, it'll say COVID updates. You will see a button that says learn more. If you click on that button, you scroll down, it will list all the schools in alphabetical order. And so as a parent, if you are concerned, you can track to see how many cases are happening at your school. And if you are truly concerned, as you see cases rise, I hope that doesn't happen, but it's more than likely it will happen to some degree, then you can contact your principal and have them answer all your questions to make sure that you feel safe as your child goes back to school.
So we're both public school parents, and I will share with you,
Yes.
my daughter in the 6th grade, we got a notification today that someone on the school or affiliated with the school tested positive. And the information, no names are given, it's just kind of a notification. But what I appreciated was that there was that notification to parents. And then of course, if there's a closer contact, then the schools are doing that follow-up.
Yes.
But it's really important. I think for me, the other really important thing is that it shows potentially the community transmission in the community at large.
That's
Because
right.
as students get exposed in their family settings, they are going to come to school. But we're not really seeing transmission at the schools yet because it's too early. Is that an accurate characterization of the numbers at this point?
I would say it's accurate defined as far as the ability that we have to see the reporting. Our office is monitoring to see if there's any lag time with the
Oh, good.
reporting in terms of what the schools are reporting and uploading to the website. We still have to ascertain if there is a lag time. And so again, it's early on, but we're monitoring all these situations.
And I think you bring up such an important point about the transmissibility of the Delta variant. And so, you were mentioning challenges with testing. Are you seeing any more opportunities for testing at the schools, or for free testing out in the community for our students and our parents in our school communities?
Yeah, absolutely, there are many opportunities for free testing. My main concern as it relates to testing is that if in fact, again, we're verifying this with CDC and the Department of Health, but if in fact the transmissibility is increased to where you can spread the virus after 2 days, then we're gonna have to take a serious look to see if we test not only once a week, but twice a week. And that's with regards to particularly our elementary schools, because they don't have the option of getting the vaccination. So if you're 11 or younger, then particularly for that class, that population of students, we want to make sure that they are protected.
So what do you think, as the numbers will likely creep up, is there discussion about offering more distance learning options, or what have you done thought about for those kinds of options? Because I know that the schools first started off with more of a preference of 100% in person.
Yes, that is very much the case. And so you as a parent or guardian should have received an option to continue with distance learning. And distance learning did not happen this time monolithically. It was very community specific. And so at some schools, the distance learning is actually offered per your child at that particular school. For other, you see areas to where complex areas, HUIDA, they aggregated their resources together and they offer different types of distance learning opportunities for kids in that particular complex area. And yet for those that don't have what they defined as viable distance learning options, then the Department of Education system-wide has a distance learning platform set up to where anywhere you are in the state, you can take advantage of this distance learning opportunity. Now, unfortunately, we know that for most kids, the research is showing us that distance learning is not the optimal mode of educational delivery. And it's concerning because there is learning loss that's happening. 1 year, sometimes 1.5 years that we're seeing that's transpiring throughout the state and across the country and across the world. This is not unique to Hawaii, this is not unique to the United States. And so the Department of Education is putting together mechanisms to address that. We know within the constructs of the normal school day, there are things that you can do to make up that learning loss over time. When I say over time, I mean over several years. Other effective strategies include like offering very effective after-school programs, which the Department of Education is doing. Also, if you have robust summer school programs, that's another way, tried and true measure to actually make up those deficiencies as it relates to learning loss. And so we're going to have to see what happens. I am most concerned, however, about students that are in high school because they have a limited amount of time to make up that loss. So if you are a parent, I implore upon you to make sure that you check with your teacher to see where your child is at. And if they did suffer a learning loss because of the pandemic, because of distance learning, then work with your teacher to make sure that you develop a plan individually for your child so that they can catch up. Now, this is a lot, but on the inverse side, there's also a worrisome development, and that is there has been a precipitous drop in kindergarten going rates by about 14%. And so, like in many states, kindergarten is compulsory. In the state of Hawaii, statutorily it's articulated that you have to attend kindergarten if you are 5 by the time, if your birthday is July 31st or before, then and you're 5 years old, you should attend kindergarten. That's because it's developmentally appropriate for you to do so. It has a significant impact on your overall learning. And of course, the education community has known this for a long time, but now the broader community is also aware that there are tremendous benefits for a child attending pre-kindergarten. And so that's because, again, of the social cognitive development that happens, particularly in that time space. And so if you have a child that's not attending kindergarten and they also did not attend preschool, then that child is going to be fighting an uphill battle for the rest of their educational career as it relates to first grade through 12th grade. And so I implore, if you have a student that is just not going to school for whatever reason, and they're supposed to be in kindergarten, you need to put that child in some kind of structured educational setting so that they have a chance once they enter into first grade.
So that 14% decline is something that they have aggregated at the school levels at this point, and so they're very concerned. Yes. When those students come in next year, they will just be placed into first grade, and that really is the concern, right? They're going to have lost that entire year.
That's definitely the concern, and again, the larger concern is per that age bracket and how your mind develops. Those years are crucial, and so the impacts are going to be felt stronger than if you were to miss a year of 5th grade as an example. You're missing kindergarten, and that's a crucial time that your brain is developing, and it's going to set you back.
So I know there's been a lot of questions too about the federal funding going to the schools, but we're losing some time, so I really want to just ask you, it sounds like there's lots of programs that you're interested in following up on. A lot of this is going to require federal funding, so I'm sure that you guys are going to be on top of that issue. But what are some of the next steps for your education committee before the start of the next legislative session?
Sure. So we're not able to do site visits for obvious reasons, which we would typically do during this time. But because there are a lot of questions, all of us as representatives, we're getting a lot of questions from our community. Rightfully so, they're concerned. They want to see what's happening. And so we're going to be having, the Committee on Education is going to be having an informational briefing sometime probably in the first week of September next month. And that's to allow the department to give a status update as to some of these issues, where they are, how they're addressing these very challenging issues, and also for representatives to ask questions on behalf of their community. So I encourage everyone to tune in to that. There will be a public notice, 2 or 3 days before, so that everyone is aware. And again, it's an opportunity to get information, because it is our responsibility as state legislators to make sure that we're providing that information to our community members so they can make informed decisions for themselves.
Thank you so much. And I think, you're absolutely right. People are so concerned about the schools, and, we're all looking. I feel like I'm one of those public school parents on Fridays, like looking at that website to see how many transmitted cases are reported at, or the positive cases reported at my child's school. So I really want to thank you, Chair Woodson, for joining us.